Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, Commander, and anything else, while I try and dig my mental health out of the hole that it's been sitting in. Now, today I do want to start with some news about one of our favorite people in the community. Their name is Anomaly. Several weeks ago, their son was diagnosed with epilepsy and currently has been going through some major issues. On top of that, Lee has also been struggling through with coronavirus, and there was a GoFundMe started by a family member of theirs to help them. I will have the link to that in my description down below. And as always, we wish that Lee and their son pull through this. And yeah. Now, I really don't want to keep that energy. So, let's talk about something a little more fun. So, last year, I played in a Commander sealed, or maybe this was 2 years ago. Whatever. I played in the first one. It was hosted by Dean Goody, and it preceded what Commander Legends was, or ended up as. And it was a lot of fun, and more importantly, it was raising funds for the Trevor Project. And this year we're doing it again. It is the Commander Sealed 2022. It's being hosted by Just Games in Rochester. And tickets are available. It's in September. It's the 18th. And I realize not everybody can buy a ticket and travel to Rochester for a game of Commander or a few games of Commander, but there is also an option to just make a donation to the Trevor Project through them, and it's, as always, for a good cause. Now, I do want to say that there are many content creators that are going to be there this year. Yeah, it's just, the list keeps growing. Just to name a few, we have Angelo, the Jess guy. We have Beth, better known as the Queen of Cardboard. We have Defiant Necro. Liliana's going to be there. Chris Von Doom is going to be there. Astral Flame. Yeah, so you see where I'm going with this. It's just going to be a lot of people who are far better known than I am. But, yeah, I think we're just going to have a lot of fun. And, it's going to top off the the craziness that has been the last month and a half. Because if you haven't seen online anywhere, on Tuesday, the exhaust system on my car fell off of my car. And that's costing me $1,100 that I just don't have. But my mechanics are pretty good, and I've worked with them before, and they're going to let me pay it off over the next couple of weeks. So I'll survive. I won't have any groceries, but I'll survive. Yeah. It's been a very expensive summer. Yes, I had my trip out to Indianapolis. That was expensive. And I also had all 4 of my brake systems done and a part replaced that was tripping my check engine light so I could get it inspected. That was also $1,000. So your boy is broke. Very, very broke. Yeah. Now, I was gonna do a deck tech on something this week. I forget what. But honestly, in the second half of today's podcast, I'm gonna be talking about something that I've been doing for the last couple of months. And, yeah. So I'll be right back. I just want to take a minute to tell you about my Patreon. I know times are hard for everybody, and I know it isn't easy to shuffle around bills and stuff. Believe me, I know that. But if you would like to help support the podcast, you can find the links to my Patreon in my link tree, which is always put into the description of either the video or the audio, wherever you're listening to it. It would really mean the world to me. Honestly, I'm just struggling to make ends meet most weeks. But that's it. That's all. If you want to help, the links will be where you can find them. And we're back. Now, for today's episode, we're going to talk about the Commander League that I've been playing in for the last couple of months. And where I'm at and where I'm going. So, I guess I should start with the commander that I ultimately went with is not the one that I started with. Originally, when we played our test game, I built Quasar, mostly because I had pulled the Elspeth and the Voidrend, and it kind of worked, but it was way too slow against what everyone else had built, so I went back to the drawing board. And I realized that in addition to having Xander's Lounge, I had Cormella, Glamour Thief, Lord Xander the Collector, and Evelyn the Covetous. Now, I ended up going with Evelyn the Covetous for my deck for a couple of reasons. One, I just happened to pull a lot of the vampires in the set. Things like the Sanguine Spy, the Maestros Diabolist, Syndicate Infiltrator, Corpse Appraiser, Vampire Scrivener, and the Glamorous Outlaw. But I also had Jaxus the Troublemaker and the Undercover Operative to start making token copies of my vampires. Because Evelyn doesn't necessarily care about it being a non-token vampire. And I kind of ran with it. So we had set a rule that when we started, anything that was in Standard at the time and forward would be legal to be added to the pool. So that went back as far as Zendikar Rising. My first edition was Midnight Hunt. No, it was Crimson Vow, which is the vampire one. And I came out with, well, a decent amount of vampires from that set. And then my second edition was the Midnight Hunt. And from there, I ended up getting like 13 more vampires between the two of them. But most importantly, I got Olivia Crimson Bride. And I guess on the end of things where some vampires are super expensive, I also got the Falkner Ash Pit Fighter, which was 1-drop. The Voldaren Epicure is another 1-drop. And the Voldaren Stinger, which is also a 1-drop. So I could diversify my, what are we calling it now? Mana values. But when I was building it, I ended up realizing that people don't really want to let Evelyn sit out very long. For reasons. So I started looking for ways to get her back, either into my hand or in play. And that starts off with stuff like Getaway Car. Alchemist's Retrieval has been a pretty good one because for 1 mana you can return something you own, but if you pay the cleave cost of 1 and a blue, you can bounce something else. We also have the couple flavors of Undying Malice, Fake Your Own Death. We've got Dig Up the Body, Rogues Gallery, Geist Wave. Just cheap ways to get everything back. And then we kind of round it out with just a ton of removal. Things like Sleep with the Fishes or Witness Protection. Or we actually have 2 of the... New Capenna had a lot of board wipes. We have Corpse Explosion and Hostile Takeover. Just Strangle, Whack, Foul Play, Eaten Alive, Play with Fire, Torch Breath, Make Disappear, An Offer You Can't Refuse. Just a lot of things that are going to keep people away from me. And yeah, we've still got a few more times to add cards. We should be wrapping up with this league sometime either in October or November. I want to say it's November. But essentially what we've been doing is we play every 2 weeks, but then we play 2 games a week. So it essentially covers the week that we don't play. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun, even when everyone gangs up on you because your commander's kind of annoying and plays with their cards. But now, as for... Well, the next game is the day that this comes out. And for that one, I'm adding Strixhaven as my net set of packs. Mostly for the Mystical Archive stuff, because there's just a lot that kind of fits well with what I'm doing, in addition to, like, it kind of has some powerful spells, but for the most part, we've got stuff like Strategic Planning, Memory Lapse, Tendril of Agony, Opt, Negate, Lightning Bolt, Thrill of Possibility, Faithless Looting, and Duress. But honestly, the one I really want to open is Dark Ritual. I want to open Dark Ritual because Evelyn costs 5 mana, and that is difficult sometimes, especially when we want to get her out as soon as possible so we can start taking cards off people's decks, mostly just to hit our land drops consistently. But yeah, that's kind of it. I don't have a whole lot else going on, mostly because I ain't got no money. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week, and I hope you all have a wonderful time. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulpey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.